What? Don't play it again. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Show. It is yours truly, Jimmy Bay, as always, and I am joined by the man to the right of me, Albert. Albert, you know the drill. How are you doing, and how have you been enjoying your wrestling?
I mean, we have the internet melting down every day over a new subject. When is wrestling not fun? It's good times. It's always good times when everybody melts down over, little things. It's always really fun when the internet becomes the wrestling community, when you find out how many unbelievably multifaceted people there are on the internet. Because not only are they experts in the medical field, in the pro wrestling field, they're also lawyers, they're also geopoliticists. It's amazing how diverse the wrestling fandom is. I'm just very glad to be a part of it.
It's kind of wild that they have so much time on their hands when they're such a expert on everything. Like, how do you have time to be an expert on everything and then still live online? That's wild.
It's crazy.
Mom must be making the meatloaf. That's all I gotta say.
Gotta be.
All I gotta say to that.
Can't be like me. I gotta cook my own dinner.
I do think it's funny that most of the times they're having meltdowns. It's literally over things that have nothing to do with the shows.
90% of it, yeah.
It's like, what are we doing? But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the shows because that's what wrestling is about.
Fun part, because
that's why we love wrestling. So we'll get the comments and then we'll get into Night of Champions. That's what it was. It's Night of Champions. I was looking up Clash of Champions for some reason. What an idiot, Jimmy. Ron said he was waiting, and I appreciate the waiting, but now we're here. He says, hello, friends. Hello to you. Courtney says hello as well. Hello, Courtney. Harry in the chat, our unofficial third person that does the work from behind. Thank you very much. Always appreciate that. Bro, don't even start this. AJ's not, Dom isn't ducking AJ. It's just not happening. Would you want AJ to win a title from someone who's not at 100%?
It's true. It's true. And who do you think made his ribs in the first place?
Then there's going to be excuses for people to have. So Dom's going to get 100%. He going to AJ Styles, and then you will have to try and find excuses because Dom is better. And then Harry says he's excited to play as Abyss in WWE 2K25. Yes, I'm about to have to go on there and get that pack downloaded so that I can play as Abyss. I think that would be pretty fun.
With his original TNA theme in there too.
That's cool. Yeah.
Banger of a theme.
And Courtney's happy that he's in there as well. I'm happy to have a new character to play with that isn't like Shaquille O'Neal or someone who's not a wrestler. I like it when there's a new wrestler for the very first time in a game. It's so much fun. There is a tweet I saw a few people say this, and I mean, if they did, they did, and if they didn't, they didn't. Like, it's not part of the show, so I don't really.
And I look. I also believe that if this was something that they didn't want to do, this would have happened months before.
Well, I think because of the current situation, that might have added to it. But again, my whole thought process on it is if they did, they did. And if they didn't, they didn't. I don't watch wrestling for people's political opinions. I don't watch wrestling for backstage drama. Do I get caught up in it a little bit online? Arguing? Sure, I do. We're all human and we do this kind of stupid stuff. But I never get invested in it and allow it to dictate how I'm going to perceive or enjoy a show. Like, I think that's silly. And I think, again, if they felt the need to do that, all the power to them. I mean, like, that's their life. I have no say in their life, so why would I care?
and look, here's the thing about what we do, because
stuff does happen. Yeah, it's life. Sometimes we don't have a show during the week because life happens, and y'all don't get mad at us for it, and we appreciate it.
But what we do is, whenever we do these shows, we come at the world of professional wrestling through a positive lens. And even now, when I'm online and it looks like maybe I'm being aggressive or irritating, it's actually because I'm trying to come from a place of positivity. So a perfect example of that. recently someone had posted, people have been posting about Penta and Ray Phoenix, right? How their runs so far in WWE, and there are a lot of AEW fans who are talking about, hey, maybe they should have stayed in AEW. Now, look, whether or not you are an AEW fan, you were like, I would prefer they be there because I watch AEW every week and they're my favorites and I'd like to watch them every week. That's totally acceptable. I understand that. But when the idea is that you're like, hey, maybe they shouldn't have left because look at this, that's not for us
to decide. Yeah,
that's they're professionals. They're making a professional decision based upon the way that they feel, based on their family. Like, this isn't anything to do with us. They're making their decision to leave. Now, can we sit there and say, hey, we wish they would be, used a little bit better or a little bit differently or whatever? Sure, that's fine.
I think
I just don't. But like the idea of me bringing this up is that my way of thinking is we should be happy that there are two really viable places where pro wrestlers can go and get paid a handsome amount of money to ply their craft. I think that's an amazing thing. And I think that it's great that they have the opportunity to say, hey, I didn't feel great about my 5 years here. I felt great about some of it, but hey, maybe I'm not crazy about the end of it. Maybe I'm going to go somewhere else. And hopefully I can leave on good enough terms to be like, hey, you know what? When I'm done, I'll come back.
So the way I look at it is it's always verbiage to me. And that's why I try not to get in, because I feel like some of them just don't know how to communicate. I literally feel like there's people who don't communicate with people in the real world, so they don't know how to really communicate their actual thoughts. If your thought process is, I wish Penta and Phoenix would have stayed in AEW, that's cool. That's a personal opinion that you have that's not crapping on anybody or anything. But when you say they should have stayed, you're basically saying, Penta, I know it was your dream to work for WWE, but you're an idiot and you should have stayed in AEW where you were going to be in a company that you didn't feel like was good enough for you, but you were wrong. Like, that's that's crazy. That's psychotic to me.
Right.
And I don't think that a lot of them who say these things truly believe it that way. Again, I just think they don't know how to verbalize what they're really trying to say. But there are the few, and I know exactly the thing you're talking about because I did this and then I deleted it because I was like, I'm not getting into it with these people. I refuse. But it was like, dude, I know his thing was, no, they should have stayed because my tribalistic views matter more. And that's the dumb stuff. But again, Penta legit seems happy.
Yes.
I see the stuff of him doing backstage or the stuff like at events and all that stuff. This man is living his best life.
Yeah.
And Ron here says that his friend texted him to say that Penta feels like just another guy. And then seconds later, he posted him doing a destroyer on Braun. He's literally in a feud with Seth freaking Rollins, who is the focal point on both shows. For anyone to say that Penta is just another guy, I don't feel like you're watching the shows.
Right.
If you want to have the conversation about Phoenix, by all means, I think there's one to be had. But it goes back to, was he being used any better at the other place? I personally don't believe so.
I mean, he got held out of his contract for 3 months. I mean, he couldn't work while he was healthy. I mean, that's,
I think there was a plan in place for both of them to come in, and then one couldn't. So Penta took off, and now they have to figure out what to do with Phoenix because they were ideally, I think we all know they were going to come in as a tag team together.
I think so too.
And when it couldn't happen, they had to pivot. I'm sure Phoenix is not mad at all that Penta has blown up.
Right.
Like I'm sure he's very happy for him. He just has to wait for his moment, and I'm sure it'll come. I'm sure it will. We just have to be patient sometimes because, again, pivots. Sometimes a pivot happens, and someone is on the bad end of that. And Phoenix is at the bad end of this one. So he was still on WrestleMania, and he had a great match. So,
right. And just to put a little bow on this, because this is, we're here for Night of Champions, right? But just to put a neat little bow on the end of this, I think that everything that this specific post, everything that person had posted for, I would say maybe about like the first 3 paragraphs, I was with it. I kind of understood. Hey, I feel like maybe they were booked a little bit better. They were booked as a tag team and they had great matches and this. And I was like, okay, I get this. I understand this is an AEW fan who just wishes. And then it went into, well, when was the last time WWE did this? Or when was the last time a luchador made event a WWE PLE? And in my mind, I went, okay, Worlds Collide just happened, and Vikingo was the main event of that event. So literally just happened. Technically, it's a PLE, right? It was a premium live event. It wasn't a Raw or a SmackDown or a house show. So it technically counts as a premium live event. I understand, but my whole thing is that that's neither here nor there. My point is that if you didn't add that last part about the negativity about WWE, that whole post is totally okay. I probably would have liked it and would have said, hey, man, I get that because there are certain guys, you know.
Not to interrupt you, I'm just pointing for the people
100%.
right here.
Yeah.
Like Penta has been used fantastic. Anybody who's trying to say he has a bit, like you're cuckoo bananas crazy.
Yeah.
And the last thing I guess I'll say to this before we go into the Night of Champions is, where was I with it? I lost it. Oh well.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's all I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
there's no reason to take the extra steps to be negative about WWE about it.
Yeah. So the main event situation, that one is one that if one of these things, like a few of the things kind of start to get under my skin, but then I just kind of brushed away. I'm like, no. I'm not letting any of this ruin my days. The main event one is kind of silly because people will be like, these people aren't in main events. They're not in main events. They're not in main events. And then what we've talked about this before on SmackDown and Raws during the PLE weekends, they stack them. And then someone gets a really good main event. But then they're like, why are these matches on these shows and not the PLEs? It's like, they're the main event of the go home and the post shows of the PLEs. Those are still big events. And the main event is still a main, like you can't. I don't like that you can't have your cake and eat it too. But if you're at a birthday party and I'm like, who wants cake and who wants ice cream? You get one. You don't get both. If you want both, you're being greedy.
Right.
So exactly. Like they're both great. I love cake. I love ice cream. And sometimes I will eat both of them together. But it's not a good idea.
At a wedding. You know what I mean? Like that's where you do something like that, a special occasion, right?
So
that's the thing.
Yeah. Penta has been in some main events on Raw.
Right.
Like, so yeah, it's those are silly.
And on top of all of that, let's just even.
And yeah, I agree. Like I don't think it was a PLE because it was just on YouTube. So I mean,
I don't care. I still count it.
It was a big event.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
it was a literal event built around AAA and lucha wrestling. So if you're gonna say that like they're not featuring lucha talents, I think you're blind to it, or they're not booking them well. I think you're being blind or purposefully obtuse.
I agree, Ron, but my point was like, if you have an ice cream cake for sure, but like if I'm having, okay, let me change it. I have cake and I have cupcakes at a birthday. You get to choose between the two of them. You can't say I want a cupcake and a cake. There you go. I fixed it for you because you're correct. Ice cream cakes are amazing.
Right. But even still, like we were saying though, look, Penta's been put into a position to succeed. He's well over. He's very noticeable by the fans. He's in a program with the top wrestler in WWE right now. There's no way you can sit there and say he's not being booked well.
Nobody's worried about where Penta's going to be going.
And right. And on
if
top
anything,
of that,
they're worried that they're going to put him in a tag team with Phoenix now.
Right.
That's how well he's been utilized.
And he also just took out Chad Gable too. Yeah. Like they chose all the people that they
stop.
Look, I hate that Gable got hurt. But if you're gonna, look, let's take the kayfabe mask off for a second. The idea that they gave the idea of that, say, okay, we got to write Gable off. Okay, we're gonna make Penta be the one to do it because he's at that level. Like they're giving him a lot because he's been doing very well since he's gotten there.
Okay, since you brought it up, I will say it, and then we're going to get into the Night of Champions. For the people like, oh, Chad Gable and El Grande Americano are both injured with the same injury. Proof is right there. No, sir. El Grande is not injured. What happened here is because he is such a superior human being, he has lent the body parts that Chad Gable needs for his shoulder surgery to Chad Gable in return for allowing him and giving him the opportunity to come to WWE and live out his lifelong dream. El Grande is just going to grow new ones because that's what his body does. Chad Gable needed him. El Grande's not injured, everybody. He's not. They're not the same people.
There was never an announcement that he was.
Exactly. This is people just saying nonsense online. I'm here to squash those rumors. My sources stated that El Grande is not injured. He's loaning the shoulder parts to Chad Gable so that he can grow new ones. Chad Gable will be okay, and they'll be able to return maybe we're at the same time, and that's good.
I also heard that with the WWE buying AAA, that he was working backstage, so if he was going to be spending a lot of time in Mexico, he couldn't wrestle on programming. That's what I heard.
Yeah, he's not injured, everybody. My source stated so. And if you're looking for my source, you're not allowed to ask me because that's how journalism works.
Exactly.
Duh.
We can't reveal our sources.
Ron here says, I'll bring up your other comment about Cody and Cena when we get to the Cody Cena match, or when we get to the Cody and Randy match. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But right here, he says, by the way, I do look forward to Clash of Champions, Zayn versus Cross, Cody versus Orton, Cena versus Punk. And then he says, I said Clash, blah, 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 blah. Haha, pranked. Gotcha. I got you to say it, even though I screwed up on it too. So we're going to start with the Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross match because hallelujah. Guess what, everybody? Karrion Kross has a match. And it's not just a throwaway match. It's at a PLE. Thank goodness the moment has arrived. I will say this, and then I'll let you have your turn. Lou, I do have sources. How you think I knew months in advance about the Dom Live stuff? Karrion Kross, this is your time.
Yeah.
And I will quote RuPaul here. Censor it if you want, anybody. I don't fuck it up. Because he's been given opportunities, and I've said this. As much as I love him, I've also been a big critic here. He's been given opportunities, and none of them have taken off. I think that was because he was thrown in there too soon before he was able to kind of get a following behind him. Well, now the following's there. Don't fuck it up. Please. As a fan, I don't want you to. I want you to succeed, and I can't imagine he fumbles this opportunity. I can't imagine it. But
so I agree.
If he does this time, if this does not work, I'm sorry. It's donezo in the WWE for him.
Here's my thing. I think that there was a point where in that Lashley feud, everybody kind of started coming back around to him, and it was like, oh, all right, he's got his own group. He's got this cool feud with Lashley and the Profits. They've got something going on. Like they're making these guys step up their game, and I feel like then Lashley ends up getting hurt after that. And I feel like they just didn't know what to do with Kross. And I think that it's almost better that they held him off from being, wrestling on TV every week. Because look, there's one thing the internet wrestling community, if there's one thing that they will do, is they will rail on you unmercifully if they don't like the way that you wrestle. We've seen it with Jey Uso. No matter how over Jey Uso is, the internet wrestling community will rail on you heavily if you don't know how to wrestle. I'm sorry, not that you don't know how to wrestle, but if you don't wrestle a certain way, have a certain caliber of matches in their own mind, which it's a made-up statistic and metric, and it can't be measured. So it's hard, but that's just the way that they are. I think that Kross now is over enough that he can get that exception from a lot of wrestling fans and be like, oh, no, whatever, even if it's not a 5-star banger match like you wanted, he got his point across. The match was good. The character's over. I want to keep seeing him on TV. He's just got to have a good performance. And that's it. And he's wrestling Sami Zayn, who, let's face it, if he doesn't have a good performance, it's probably his fault, right? I mean, Sami's one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yes. Like, Sami knows how to evoke emotion from a crowd, and if you I'm reading it's a book about Sami and Kevin Owens's lifelong.
I saw that. I wanted to read it. I started reading it.
I started reading it, and Sami Zayn, from the moment he was given the opportunity to go in front of a crowd, was able to have that crowd in the palm of his hand by simply going out there and saying "Ole." He knows, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how he does it, but he knows how to do it. And if you can't work with that, I'm sorry. Right here, as Lewis, he's agreeing with me. This is a crazy day here. It's done. He's done. And that sucks because I love Kross. I love him. I'll say this about this match. I almost don't know if I'd let them have a match. I think I might let Karrion Kross just destroy him. Because he's been teasing the killer, and he's been telling Sami he doesn't have it because he's pretending to be this good fake guy. Karrion Kross destroying him kind of helps that story progress. It shows you the killer side of Karrion Kross, which works for him in NXT. So
and
what
by the
we
way,
doing?
That's where I get aggravated too. It's not that people are talking about how like, oh, Kross isn't that good. We saw him in NXT. He was a good worker in NXT. He had good matches in NXT. I don't know what everybody's deal is thinking that he wasn't. It just, I think that we haven't got to see him wrestle in a while, and the idea for them, for people was, well, he's not that good in the ring, because I guess he doesn't know how to do 17 Hurricane Ranas in a match.
He's good in the ring. He
is. He's actually
he's not your good in the ring.
Right.
He's not cage match friendly. Oh well. Like that was just a shot, whatever. But yeah. And again, Ron here's noticing it. Kross seems to have the goal of getting more aggressive and dirty Sammy. And he asked, did we even? No, they did the one match, and then that was kind of it.
Right. He interviewed at WrestleMania, and then that was that. And
it was like, okay. But again, this is the moment. The eyes are on him. Like,
yeah,
it's now or never for the guy. And I am fingers crossed for him, because I have been the hugest fan of this dude ever since I met him. I liked him in NXT. I hated what they did to him with the mask. I tried to get behind it, but it just didn't work. And I met the guy, and I'm like, no, this guy, who wouldn't root for this guy? Like, you meet him, you'd love him. So I like the character work he's been doing. It's just time to put up or shut up in the ring at this point. You gotta do something. So I'm happy, and I hope this is the first match.
Me too.
Because I feel like that adds a little bit more pressure to him, and the more pressure he has will eventually lead to something greater for him if he knocks it out of the park. So, yeah, Demolition Kross with that mask. It was something. It was something.
Look, Vince obviously had no idea how to use him, and I think Triple H does. I think that the feud with Drew, I think, was a little bit too ambitious. I think they should have started off a little bit smaller and built him into something with that. And I think that we would have been better. Look, there's a lot of things where Kross, I feel like things worked against him being successful. I think that Bray Wyatt's, untimely demise really worked heavily against Kross, because I feel like that was a ready-made program that people were thinking about, like, once Bray was going to come back and healthy, and they had Kross in the the chamber there. I think that was something that like would have really evoked like a lot of.
That was the program he really wanted to have too. Like he talked about multiple times. That was the one he wanted. So.
I think that really worked against him. I think that like him not being there and having like that foil, that really good nemesis, really kind of hurt in that sense too.
I wish Zayn was in the King Ring final. Just to touch on Sami just for a brief second before we move to the next match. I only wish it was Zayn if it was going to be Jey Uso on the other side. I don't want to see Sami versus Cody. I want to see Sami versus Jey in this situation.
I was good with seeing Sami against either one of them, because I felt like I would have been okay with Randy versus Jey. I don't like. Look, we can get into this now. I don't like that this is Randy versus Cody. I don't like it.
I want to save this one. I want to save this one. Yeah.
So I'm with you, Harry. I agree, because I don't want this match to be Sami versus Cody versus Randy.
I'm kind of with you, and like I said, we'll get to that one. I'll save that one for later. But again, y'all.
But I think Kross wins.
I love Sami Zayn. Of course, I want him to just win shit, but I get it. And if he was in the finals, Karrion Kross doesn't get this opportunity. And I feel like the only reason he's really getting this opportunity is because the AJ Dom match got pulled.
Right.
So I think a lot of things have fallen in place for Karrion Kross to get this moment, and I'm just hoping he knocks out of the park. And so
same here.
I'm not that mad at Sami. I think his moment is coming. I'm just not sure when, or maybe I'm just being too hopeful at this point because I've been saying it for almost over a year at this point, and now it's like, yeah. But
I think it's a good sign that Jey Uso's was probably one of Jay's best singles matches. I think that it's a good sign that Jay's reign was so short, because I think that they show that they're willing to do that. So I think that there is a chance that if they do give Sami the opportunity to win the title, and they want it for the feel-good moment version, for what they did at WrestleMania with Jey Uso. Maybe if they have a big PLE in Canada and the stars align, and it's Sammy across the ring from somebody who can win that championship, who can lose that title for a couple months and not get hurt. I think that there's a better chance that we see that happen because we saw it happen with Jey. Ultimately, though, I think Cross wins this match.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say I think Cross destroys him.
I like that
because we were talking about it before. There's 6 matches on this PLE, and Triple H has really, really fumbled the bag on that one. How dare he do that? 5 match cards.
What are we talking about? Like, yeah, it's only 5 matches.
You idiot! Like you just forgot that account or something. So Karen Cross squashes him. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for. Sammy can survive that. Like it's not gonna hurt Sami Zayn.
Nothing hurts Sammy.
No,
he's bulletproof at this point.
And Harry's with me. He squashes Sammy.
And I hope that leads to an interesting arc for Sammy's character too.
We briefly touched on. I don't know if he's hurt, but again, if he is, it doesn't appear like it's anything bad. And if he's not, it was just because of some other reason.
Week.
He's still on the show, so that's all I can focus on, and like I'm good with that. I'm sure he'll be wrestling again like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next match here. I don't know if there's much to talk about here because it did kind of just get thrown together. They've been building towards it, but it did just get thrown together last minute here on Monday. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez in a street fight. I will say this. I really, really, really loved their street fight in NXT.
Same.
I thought it was Raquel Rodriguez's best match.
Yes.
So I hope they can recreate that here so that Raquel can finally be in a position to look the part as opposed to just playing the part that she is right now. I don't really have much else to say.
There's a lot of fantasy booking going on in everybody's mind now that Raquel and Roxanne are going to team up, and that's going to lead to the reuniting of Liv and Rhea. And look, if that's what you're thinking, you guys are absolutely out of your minds. Like, that's not happening. Liv's not coming back to the team with Rhea. That doesn't make any sense. Even if she's mad at Raquel and Roxanne for taking over, the last person she would choose the team with would be Rhea. And by the time that Liv comes back, Rhea's not going to still be in a program with either one of these women.
No.
So that's one thing I just want to. This one thing I just want to throw out there. I think this has the potential to be a sleeper like match of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that there is a lot of positives to have this match for getting Raquel. Lewis has actually put it great. Raquel's finally going to get some shine. Yeah. I think that she needs that. A PLE appearance, a singles match. I think that this can help to elevate her and maybe even put her into that position where they're like, well, what are we going to do that Liv is gone? If Raquel beats Rhea in this match, you can put her in a match with Io Sky, and they had a good match in NXT as well.
So I'll say this. It's kind of the same thing with Karen Cross with Raquel right now. I think this is kind of her moment to like step up and show people I belong in this position that they've given me. Right. If not, I think you can have the serious conversation of like, is she ever going to really work?
Is she ever going to be like?
Is she going to live up to the potential that Triple H sees in her? That's how I'll put it. I don't think she sucks like a lot of people.
And I also don't think that she's like one of those that's in danger of like, oh, if releases come around, she'll be on that.
No,
I think that
nothing like that.
She'll stay in WWE for a while, but I don't know if she'll be a main eventer. Like I think we all thought that she was Rhea's successor in NXT. I think that everybody thought that would be the way on the main roster. It hasn't quite worked out that way. And also, her disease, things out of her control have hurt, many of her pushes and stuff like that. I think that eventually, I think that she has a really good showing here. And if she can step up now that Liv has gone down, it's her time to shine. I think that you're right. This is the time.
I think with Raquel, I think this match is going to say, okay, you're at this level right here. If you can show us something, we can invite you to the next story up. You can come to the next level up. If not, this is officially your ceiling, and you're going to have to do a lot of work to prove that you belong on the next level. Right. And if she's a mid-card talent, whatever, that's fine. That is not a knock coming from me. Again, I think mid-card talent is just as important to any program, any promotion, anything. as the high talent and the comedic. I think they all serve their purpose and they're all very important. And if that's where Raquel's ceiling is, cool. That's awesome. That's not a knock on her. I think it just opens the door for someone else to get the opportunities that she's kind of been given, like a Stephanie Vaquer, who's hungry right now, a Roxanne Perez, who's right there knocking on the door. Like, I think with Raquel being knocked down, they have the opportunity to get those opportunities. And I think both of those will knock it out of the park. So
absolutely.
I think this match is going to be fun, though. And I'm going to go ahead and say now, I think Raquel beats her with some help from Roxanne.
I think so too. Yeah, I think exactly.
I feel like Rhea took a break there for a minute, so I'm not tired of it. But again, we've talked about this. I think it was last week when we were talking about Judgment Day. Me and Albert, we just have fan connections to the Judgment Day. Like this too. Ron says it's so dead. He's talking Bloodline over. I was never over with the Bloodline either, though. So I mean, that's just me. If you are, I hate it for you. I wish you could enjoy it more, but
yeah, same.
I don't think Rhea's going to be here much longer. I think
I don't think so either. I think this is just a pit stop. I think this was supposed to. Look, I think that I think this was supposed to be Liv versus Io, and they had a pivot.
Yeah,
so that's why this is happening.
I don't think this match was going to be on. I do think it was going to be on. I think Sammy and Cross was going to be the match that took their spot. I think we were going to get 3 women's matches.
Okay, that's fair.
Because they do tend to kind of, just to prove a point, with these Saudi shows, add more women to them. They tend to utilize a lot of women on these shows just to be like,
I appreciate.
Hey, we're doing it. So
yeah.
I didn't say. Lyra's fine, but she's in a program now, and I think mid-card is where she belongs right now. And Julia, I don't think she's done anything to prove that she should be at the main event scene yet. So I think Stephanie Vaquer has literally shown the crowds are reacting to her. She has it. So you could put her in the main event scene and no one's going to complain. And I think Roxanne Perez has just shown time in and time out all year that she can hang with literally anybody in there. Lyra and Julia have not done the same, in my opinion. I think they can get there for sure. For sure.
I think that there's a reason why Julia got shipped to SmackDown, right? They come in, they attack Io, and I think that it's like, oh, Julia versus Io. Wow, that's intriguing. Nah, let's hold this off. Stephanie's the one who's getting the reactions. Let's keep her on Raw. Let's put her over there. Let's put Julia on SmackDown. Let's separate her from all the dream matches that we have over on Raw right now so she can get better, build her equity up, and then when we need somebody eventually to have that big feud with an Io Sky or a Liv Morgan or at a point, because she might take off earlier and get there before her, a Stephanie Vaquer, then Julia can come over and be that person.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to really – I think it's great they're starting her off. It looks like, she'll probably win the U.S. title from Zelina this week. If that's the case, I think that's a great upward trajectory from there for her. I don't think Stephanie Vaquer needed the Intercontinental title pit stop. I think she can go straight to being, in like that main conversation. I think Julia needed it a little bit more. And it's not a bad thing. I just think some people just need a little extra time and a little extra seasoning for fans to really dig into them. Stephanie Vaquer she's got it. Like,
some people show up and immediately get that attention from the crowd, and you have to give the crowd what they want.
Yeah,
we talk about this all the time. And some people, they don't debut the way you would hope or think, or like, because Julia's awesome. And I think when Julia and Stephanie both got signed, everyone thought that Julia was going to be in the position Stephanie is in right now. And for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Maybe we can thank Booker T and his little thirsty trapness for her or whatever for it. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But I am going to say that Stephanie is in a position now she's far ahead of Julia. Julia will get there, though. No doubt in my mind. And going to SmackDown was great because she would have she's swimming with sharks on Raw because of how over a lot of those girls are. Io over, Rhea over, Stephanie over, Liv over, Becky over, Lyra getting there, Bailey
over. Yeah, I mean,
Julia needed to get away from that.
Yeah, so and now she can stand out in a women's division where she can be taken more seriously.
Literally the only one over there that's kind of got a lock on the crowd, and even that I think is starting to fizzle a little bit.
Alexa,
it's that's true, but it's a lot easier on SmackDown
and Charlotte too. But I mean, now we're naming but look, let's be serious.
I know.
We're naming 3 women there when we're talking about what 6 or 7 on 5 or 6 on Raw.
And Oscar just came back too on Raw.
Yes,
like
right
yes,
on
yeah,
Raw,
so,
exactly.
yeah.
So
yeah. So let's go. Lou said he's patiently waiting for more Bloodline stuff. So yeah, I got Raquel. Harry has Raquel. Who do you have?
Raquel. Yeah, I think that Roxanne comes out and interferes.
He says who? Romy, Jimmy, and Jacob. I don't know what they're going next with it, but if they ever bring it back, they better come back swinging. Don't do it. Don't half butt it. I want to see some real more. Because the Bloodline was great when it was like in depth, like when they really went in depth with it. Don't half-ass it. So
look, if they bring back, if the Tongans come back and they're healthy, and that gives Solo now 4 guys on his side, and Jacob's got, obviously Jimmy's there to even up. They're going to need some
Usos,
help.
Roman, and Jacob on one team.
That exactly.
That's not fair. Hey Ron, we'll talk about this one too when we get to the John Cena match. I'm not gonna not talk about that.
Yeah, we have to talk about.
I'm wearing the Punk hat, man. Come on. Yeah. I'm also wearing the Chelsea's Better shirt, baby.
Because it's true.
Yes, my Father's Day gift. I want Zero Spot 2 in WWE. I don't. I think he needs to kind of earn his way at this point. But since we're talking about Bloodline, what better match to move into than Jacob Fatu? You know what I mean? Versus Solo Sikoa for the United States Championship. And I'll just ask this quick question. Do you think there's any way in hell Solo Sikoa is winning this United States Championship?
0.
Thank you. Gracias. Yeah, ain't happening. You know what I mean?
I love this. I think that everybody's been wanting this. We're finally, I think the build was good to it. I love the Jacob pulling back, and then Solo pulls him back in. And it looks like, okay, all right. I guess they're going to kind of be all right. Just here's that one thing backstage. Now it's, I hate you, Solo. I think that was absolutely a great way to build up to this. I think Solo then saying, hey, look, I'm willing to forgive you. I still want you in the family. Jacob being like, get the hell away from me. I think the whole build has been very good. People have been saying it's been drawn out, but I think that this is the way they needed. They needed the jealousy. There was no reason for Solo to turn on Jacob if Jacob wasn't U.S. champion. What would be the reason? Why would he be jealous? What, because he's getting over? Who cares? Yeah. They're wrecking people together, right? Yeah. Who cares? Jacob becomes a champion. Now Solo's got something that, Jacob's got something that Solo wants. That was Solo's, like, when everybody was talking about the bloodline, we go, like you said, we want to bring it back to the bloodline. When we were talking about the bloodline, everybody at that point being draped in gold. Roman's got 2 titles. The Usos got both tag titles. And there was Jacob sitting in the back, and people were like, man, Solo sitting in the back. Man, when he wins that U.S. championship, that was like earmarked for him. And here comes Jacob Fatu coming in, stealing every bit of Solo's spotlight and overtaking him and winning that championship. Holding that off, building that story, having Solo trying to come to grips with it, but then in the back of his mind, always having a plan to try to get one over on him, makes a lot of sense. I think they built this great. I think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't even know if Jacob even wins the match or like clean, or if it's a disqualification. He doesn't lose the title. I'll say that.
So, quick on Solo, because for some reason people want to poop on Solo Sikoa, and I'm like, I feel like the second they had him stop doing the wannabe tribal chief thing and allowed him to show his personality, he's been money.
Yeah, he's so much fun.
Funny. And it's not the funny that we're laughing at him. We're laughing with him. And I think that's a very distinct, like with Ron Killings, and this isn't a knock on him, but when he's R-Truth, we're laughing at him because he's funny. Like he's the butt of the joke.
Right.
And that's fine. That's his character. Right. And it is not a knock on him. But with Solo Sikoa, he's making fun of people and he's laughing at them, and we're laughing with him. And I think that's distinguishes people from being funny and still being able to be taken seriously. As R-Truth, when he's the comedic guy, you don't really take him seriously when he goes in there against John Cena, because it's like, he don't stand a chance. But with Solo Sikoa, it's like, okay, he's funny, but he's still Solo Sikoa.
Right. Like, Kurt Angle was the wrestling machine.
Yes.
But he would still be able to wear a stupid cowboy hat.
Yes. So, like, I think that Soko deserves credit for this. Like he's so good at the character he's doing now, and I think it a lot because they just said start being yourself.
Yeah.
So stop pooping on Soko, everybody. I think it's crazy. And I'll also say because a lot of the comments here, right here, Ron, I assume we get interference. Harry wouldn't be shocked if Solo wins the US title, but he thinks Jacob wins. But he could see Hikuleo costing Jacob. Lou, Solo's winning. Come on, you know how this goes. I think what it comes down to is Jacob Fatu is almost about to win it, and then Hikuleo shows up, and then Solo gets interference or disqualified. Jacob keeps the title. He gets the win, but he didn't pin Solo, so it's not over with. They can keep this feud going. And then all of a sudden, Solo looks like a bigger threat because now he has more people on his side. I think that's where you're going with this match. Solo. Oh.
That's right.
He
He
did.
absolutely did.
Yeah. I don't like Solo because he comes off like a bully and not a TV bully. Like I know this guy really.
That's why I kind of like him though.
Yeah. Because he's not a guy you're supposed to like. So that I think it works for him. Because
and I think
from what I've seen of him, like interacting with fans, he comes across as a sweetheart.
Yeah,
like an absolute sweetheart. So I think if you're thinking he's a bully, I think it's because he's kind of doing a good job of making himself look like a bully.
I think that there's a fun part to it though. I think that because he's he's a badass, right? I mean, street champion. That was his whole gimmick at NXT. Like he's gonna run through you, right? But you ever meet those guys that you see them and then like you're like, man, I don't like this guy. I don't like the way he treats other people. But then when he's around his friends and he's joking around, and everything, it's like this guy's kind of funny. I feel like that's what Solo is. It's like I don't want to like him, but all right.
So, who you got winning?
I say Jacob wins.
Okay. Yeah. So everyone thinks we think Jacob's winning. Yeah. Again, I think he's just winning by disqualification. I don't think he's pinning Solo.
I think you might be right, but I also think that there is the chance that he does like survive interference, gets the win, and then gets attacked like after the match. No matter what, I think Jacob wins.
I think if you want Hikuleo to look strong, if he is interfering here, if you want him to look strong, Jacob can't walk away. That's how. That's what I think.
They've got to, and especially it may not even be him. I know that they just had him come out during that whole he had a dark match or whatever.
Yeah, he's past 2 weeks. He's had dark matches, and it's been long enough. I mean, he's been there for almost a year at this point.
Right. But the thing is that I don't know what the timetable is on Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa coming back, and if he comes in too, that's 5 guys. Like that's a very, you know what I mean?
I think Tama is still out for a while. Because his injury is fresh. Tonga could be back soon. I mean, it might be Tonga that just comes back.
It could be. That's what I'm saying.
I think Hikuleo shows up.
I hope, you know what? Like I don't even know what I hope. I'm waiting to see here.
I just hope Jacob Fatu is still United States champion. That's what I'm hoping for. Yes. My boys are champs. I want to keep it that way. It never happens for me. Like never.
No, I agree.
I forgot JC Mateo.
Well, obviously, we know he's going to be out there, we have 15 minutes and we
got 3 matches and 2 of them are big ones. So let's move on to Asuka versus Jade Cargill. I don't think there's much to talk about here.
I think actually there's a lot that
we could talk a lot about, but I think like we want to talk about the other ones more. So I feel like we'll make this one quick. I'm curious of your opinion on this one though. Who do you think wins here?
This is the one I'm actually split. I don't know. I think that there's
Asuka.
So here's
wants Asuka.
There's one part of me that thinks this is Jade's breakout moment. She should be queen of the ring, right? Like if they're going to push her as a single star, she should. But are we really going to bring Asuka back, put her in this main event focused program again, and make her lose again? I feel like that's all they ever do with her lately. She comes in, she's a killer. She comes back as Kana last time at the Royal Rumble, and everybody's like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. And then she's just a runner-up. And then Bianca has the match with somebody else. I I don't know how much more can Asuka be presented as a killer on TV if she just keeps losing all of her big matches. For that reason, I have a feeling that they also really want to get Asuka and Io. You know, I think that's a great match for SummerSlam. I'm gonna go Asuka. I'm gonna go with Asuka. I think that Jade can survive losing this because Naomi could interfere and something can happen to cost her and they can pivot her. I really think it hurts Asuka so much if she loses this.
That's interesting, Ron. I think she's been fine. I think Asuka's had a fantastic career.
Sure, yeah. But I think it's for the past 2 years. I feel like
she's up there in age, and injury plays a part in things too.
Sure.
I think she's at the age where, at the point in her career, where she's kind of like Shinsuke. Just she's got more miles left on her than Shinsuke does, and I think she's going to be used to put people over. And what I don't like about this match is I'm sticking with Jade because, again, I said from the get-go, I think Jade challenges for that title. She wins the title, and then Naomi cashes in. Or I said this before Naomi won the Money in the Bank. It's been my vision. Again, my sources, Lou. That's been my vision since the day after WrestleMania. So I think Jade wins here because I don't see a realistic way for Jade's to get to Tiffany because they're both baby faces for that title match. But I can see a way for Asuka to still go after Io. And that's what I hate about this match because both of these people in this match are going to end up with title matches at SummerSlam.
See, I don't think so.
Or Evolution, or maybe it happens at Evolution.
Yeah.
But I think both of them end up getting title matches, and that's what I hate about this match. But I'm going with Jade. I'm sticking to my guns because
look, I'm not mad either way. My thing is this. If Jade wins, like you said, we can see Jade, Tiffany, Naomi can cash in. If Asuka wins, she faces Io. Either way, I think we end up winning.
That's a
great stat.
I would not be mad if Asuka joined that because we're doing our women's Mount Rushmore next week, and Asuka's going to get a lot of love from this guy. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not allowed to do that because that's not how media works, man. I'm just
Meltzer.
That's what they all say.
Sean
so that's
Ross
what I'm saying.
They don't reveal their sources.
Okay, you want my source? Paul. There you go. So who are you taking? You're on the spot. You have to pick someone.
I'm gonna go with Asuka.
Good deal. We finally picked someone different.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go Randy and Cody.
Yeah. I think we say
Randy and Cody. Because you talked about how you hated that Randy was in this match.
Yeah.
I hated the idea of Randy being in this match because I don't think there's any logical reason for us to go back to Cody or for John and Randy. I think their Backlash match was the match they're supposed to have during this retirement run. There's no reason to run that back because you're not going to outdo what you did. Right. And you can't do the same thing because that would be boring. So I don't see why you would do it. But I also think it's too early to do Cody and Cena again.
Yes.
So what do you think happens here?
So
this ain't hate. This ain't hate, man. I know there's no reason for it. That's all. That's literally it. I just don't see the reason for it. I have no problem with Randy going after the title when someone else has it. Go for it. Randy deserves it. He's the man. Just not against Cena again.
Right. So, like Ron just said, both of them already fought Cena, and I don't like the fact that we have this retirement tour where he's got a year left, and he's going to have. Look, I was okay with him having the inevitable rematch with Cody if Cody was going to be the guy that took the title off of him. Fine, whatever. But SummerSlam to me is early, and if Cody loses again, then we get a third match. Eventually, like I don't like him losing 2 matches in a row to Cena. I also don't look. There's a lot of people that are saying like, "Oh, well, Cody's talking about how like his babyface run is coming to an end. Cena can't end as a heel. They're going to do some sort of a double turn." How? None of that even makes sense. It doesn't. It's not logical. Why would Cena even if that all happens, Cena then all of a sudden can't just become a babyface after that? He can't just be like, "Oh, well, I made fun of all you guys for hating me for so long. Now I'm just going to be like, yeah, I love you guys again." Look, it doesn't make sense to me. I also don't like the fact that we finally have Cody versus Randy, a match that I've wanted since Cody's come back, and there's virtually no story behind it. Now, we mentioned this on Twitter. I did say that there's the chance that this is the Cody beats Randy in a good match. Randy gives him the high five and gives him the hug. And he's like, oh, man, damn it. I don't I can't believe I came up short. And that's the thing that maybe supplants like the seed in Randy's head that eventually he's going to have to turn on Cody. But I also don't see that happening until Cena leaves, because then why do you're not turning Cena, and unless you were doing what I said and turning Randy immediately with him, turning Randy now is just going to be like, well, now he's playing second fiddle to Cena again, right? I just, both of these options to me didn't make sense. I thought that the right way to go about this would have been Jey Uso versus Sami Zayn in the finals. Jey Uso or Sami can either one of those guys can get a shot against Gunther. It logically didn't make sense that Jey even needs to win King of the Ring to get another title shot. Why would he? But let's say Sami wins. That makes an interesting dynamic between the two of those guys leading out of that match, especially if then Sami wins the title from Gunther. Like, there's so much more stories and layers to tell. With this, to me, there's just like, this is a match that I want to see, that I felt needed to be built up more. They're throwing it together here. Either outcome to me, I'm not going to enjoy, because I also don't see Cena losing yet. Like, there's just a lot that to me that doesn't make sense. They've got a plan, obviously. They know what they're doing. And eventually, sure, maybe they'll prove me wrong. Right now, though, look, I'm a very positive person. How often do I say I don't like what they're doing with certain things? This is one of those instances where I'm just like, I'm scratching my head that this is what you're doing.
Hold on. What's that, Paul? You don't want me to keep talking about this stuff. Too fucking bad. What if I told you, take that, Lou. What if I told you that the plan isn't Cena and Cody? The plan isn't Cena and Randy. The plan for SummerSlam is Cena versus Cody versus Randy in a triple threat, which would then allow Cody and Randy to lead into their feud with a story behind it. And then by the time that's over with, Cody can circle back to Cena for his match.
How do you suppose they get there with this match then?
Cena comes out, destroys them both, takes the crown for himself. There is no King of the Ring.
Okay. I'd be okay with that.
And then again, you could have a situation where Cody does something to Randy, and then John pins Randy, and that's what causes Randy to flip out and go after Cody. And then you have them go after each other. And then you get to the match between Cena and Cody, and that's when you do the double turn, because then you have the opportunity over the next 6 months to start laying the groundwork for Cena going out as the babyface, as a lot of people think he should, which if that's the way you want to do it, okay. He still gets his babyface pops. Like, the people are not hating him. No matter how hard he tries, they're just not going to hate the guy. But Cody turning heel, again, all of a sudden you have a lot of things you can do with Cody Rhodes again, because his run as a babyface, it's not that it's over because the fans are done with it. I think it's over with because what more can you realistically do with Cody Rhodes as the babyface?
I think there's a lot more.
I don't think there is. And I think if you turn him heel, you have the opportunity to run back the trilogy of him and Roman Reigns with the roles reversed, which I'm not against at all. I think Roman needs to start showing up more, and I don't think they do that next year at WrestleMania. I think that would be 2 years down the road. But
I just don't like Cody as a heel. I don't like the idea of it right now. I think that he's so over as a babyface. Why would you sacrifice that? And then, okay,
because you have Jey Uso still.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Your thought is that they feel that Jey can do it. I don't think so.
Well,
because I think that they try to elevate him to get to that point. I don't know if they think that he's good enough to be the number one babyface, because that's what he'd have to be.
I think the Raw match between the two was a great test. Put you in there with Cody. Let's put the guy who is completely over against the guy who's the most over, and let's see how things work out. And the fans did not stop. They still wanted Jey. They still loved Jey. And
they reacted to both of them like baby faces, which I thought was
exactly. They did.
Fun.
And I think the fact that people weren't booing one or the other shows you that Jey has that potential still. And if Roman plans on coming back, which I don't know, but if he does plan on coming back, I feel like if he worked a more regular schedule, at least for just like a 6-month period so they could have a program, he could be your babyface for that program and kind of help carry that. I'm getting way ahead of this now, though, but that's how I see you getting to a Cody Cena double turn, which I'm not against at all.
I am.
And I think that's how you do the SummerSlam match without it being just bullshit. Because I do think a singles match between any of those two with John Cena is bullshit. Because it's too soon to do them again.
I agree.
And it would fit John Cena's character because he's like, neither one of you are getting it. And then Nick Aldis could be like, oh, well, this is what we're
wrestling.
Yeah. Right. So, like, it fits with, because he did get in Nick Aldis's face. And so Nick Aldis is the kind of guy who's going to punch back. And I think this is a thing. So,
look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't like the idea of the double turn. My whole thing is this: if they're going with this, either way, even in a triple threat match, I almost don't want to see it to be Cody to be the guy to take the belt off of him. This now, the results of them doing this with King of the Ring and this being the SummerSlam match cements even more to me in my mind why I think that they should have just had LA Knight win the damn briefcase then. Because let Cena win and look like he's going to take the belt out with him and have LA Knight cash in on him at the end, and then have Cena, look like, holy crap, this is it. I was going to walk away. And then just all you have to do for Cena to just get back into everybody's good graces, that last PLE, he walks over, he hands the belt to LA Knight, he raises his hand, he walks out, he comes out at that. I think it's confirmed his last night is in Boston.
Yeah.
He comes out in Boston, he cuts a babyface promo, he apologizes, bam, he's good, he's fine, he's done.
That's where the match needs to happen, is in Boston. I don't think he needs to come out and do it. I think the match needs to happen in Boston for it to happen, because John, you could literally do it the way Rock and Hogan. I know kind of manufacturing it isn't going to be as awesome, but I think if there's two people that can pull it off, it's Cody and Cena, where they do the double turn. Austin and Brett did it through the match. So it is possible to do it. I think we're way ahead of ourselves, but you did ask who's the top babyface if it's not Cody Rhodes. You just brought up another guy, LA Knight. If they finally push this guy the way everyone is like, they have to do it or they're screwing him over. No, he's fine. He's doing just great. If they finally did push him, he would be able to take that reign and go with it. If it was just for 2 years, he could do it. So, but no, Cody versus John Cena versus Randy Orton is my guess. I don't think there's a winner in the King of the Ring.
So I'm going to go Cody. I'm going to say Cody. I like your idea. I don't want to just keep agreeing with you. So I'm going to go Cody. I think that realistically, I just don't feel that there's a way that Randy Orton walks out of here as a winner. That's how I feel.
Okay. So now we can go to the main event. John Cena versus CM Punk for the undisputed WWE Championship. Ron asked earlier what we thought of the what did he call it? The
mock pipe bomb?
The mock pipe bomb, which is a great it was mocking the pipe bomb. I loved it. This is literally how, like, I was watching SmackDown, and then me and the family were at the dinner table. I was playing games with them. We're playing SpongeBob. What do you mean? That's what we were playing. And then John Cena put Punk through the table, and then the wheels started turning. And then he asked for the mic. He sat on it, and he said, "As you lay there, I popped."
Yeah, same here.
I said, "All right, game's on pause. Shut up." And I watched it. Sorry, I'm not a mean person in my family. I promise you. They love me to death, and I love them to death. They understand my fascination and love for professional wrestling, and they get it, and they watch it with me. And at one point, my son looked over at me and said, "Are they doing the?" And I said, "Yes, they are." It was awesome. I don't think it's John Cena's top 5 promos of all time. I don't think that's what it was intended to be. I think it was to mock CM Punk. It was a callback to the moment that we all look back to during their feud. A lot of people think that that's Cena's best feud and that's Punk's best feud in WWE. It was a callback to that moment that really solidified it as that great feud. and it was done perfectly. Cena playing to the internet wrestling audience and the fact that the live crowd understood it and was reacting with it, it was beautiful. It was segment of the year.
Yeah.
I don't care if it was a ripoff. Like, that was the point.
Right. That's what
it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because the roles are reversed, and John Cena is basically saying, anything you can do, I can do better. It doesn't matter which side I'm on in this and the roles here. I'm better than you. I'm the greatest. You're just the best in the world for 7 minutes 14 years ago. It's beautiful. Hi, Matt Cardona.
Look, Harry, here's the thing. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad that the names he mentioned, people were like, oh, well, if he meant Matt and Nick Jackson and Claudio and Colt Cabana, why didn't he just say it? Why? Because that's all you would be talking about. If he mentions AEW, that's all you would be talking about. Now we're talking about the pipe bomb promo.
It was so good. I can't imagine, because Cena is so surgical with things. I can't imagine that wasn't done at least a little bit on purpose, though.
Right.
Just to get people talking no matter what.
People talking. Yes. Exactly.
If I do say him, if I don't say him, I still got you talking. And that's why I'm the greatest of all time.
And think about it this way. If Cena does mention it, now I don't want to have to keep going back to the being the anti-internet wrestling fan crusader, but the immediate reaction to that promo, that doesn't become, this was a recreation and a retelling of Punk's pipe bomb. It is, AEW is so good that they have to be mentioned in WWE's main event angle. That's how good they are. And that's what then the discourse then becomes that. Yeah. The discourse didn't become that because Cena didn't mention anybody. Yes, he mentioned Claudio Castagnoli, who works at AEW. That was the biggest AEW reference you got in the promo, even though he alluded to it. And that's what you do. You allude to it so everybody talks about it. They talk about the promo, not everything else.
You skate the line and let the other people go crazy with it.
Right. And that's what the internet did. For a week, everybody had just been going nuts about this, finding Easter eggs, all the different, comparisons. There's been a lot of really good edits with, Punk and Cena side by side, and stuff. It's great.
I like the deep cut that someone pulled out where CM Punk was shouting out Dolph Ziggler and Zack Ryder while wearing a Cesaro shirt.
Yes.
That was like, bro, again, Cena is surgical with this stuff.
By the way, just want to throw this out there. Hi, Matt Cardona, right? And now, I don't know if you've seen, Cody just had his interview with KO. Please watch it. I know you're a KO fan. If you didn't watch it, please watch it.
I was literally watching it before we went on there.
So I'm about an hour into it. I'm almost done with it. 2 mentions of Matt Cardona in there. If they don't bring him in, what are they doing at this point? Everybody wants him there.
The Deep State did attack him on TNA.
They did.
Yes.
They did. Right. We're pushing away from this.
We're losing control here. We went off the yes, we enjoyed the mock pipe bomb.
Here's we want to talk about bests for Cena. It's the best thing he's done as a heel thus far. By and far, the best thing he's done as a heel, the best promo he's cut, the best segment he's had. It's the most that it's made people, I think, really want to hate John Cena.
It didn't come across as phony.
Yes.
For the first time. Like, I get the robotic nature that he was doing before, that people were kind of like, I'm not feeling this. There was nothing robotic about that. It was natural. And I think that's a big thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, if there wasn't already hype for, and I can answer this for you too, if there wasn't already hype for the two of us to have CM Punk versus John Cena, which is a match that since Punk's come back, we have said over and over again we wanted to see. This is a match that has to happen when that Punk's back. This promo made me want to see it even more, and I didn't know that there was a way for them to make me want to see this match even more. And I even to a point where when they were doing the build, and I thought the build was going to be, oh, well, CM Punk is going to, have to converge on his morals to face me in Saudi. And I was like, damn, that's where they're going with this. I am so glad that this was what they did. This makes me want it more. It makes it more interesting to me. I cannot wait for this. I don't think Cena loses here. I don't think there's a chance he does. I think Harry brought up the Punk. I'm sorry, Cena does the on the barricade, the Punk on the way out. I think it's poetic in that sense, but I do think that this is going to steal the show. I don't think there's anything that's bigger than this. I don't think there's anything that's going to get better than this. And these are two old pros who are going to go out there who know how to work a crowd, and they're going to put together a great match.
Punk versus Cena was the one we were waiting for. Yes, it was. I wish we had more time with it. And honestly, there's still a possibility they just run Randy and Cody back at SummerSlam and then run Punk and Cena again at SummerSlam. There's always that possibility. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. Two rematches.
Yeah,
but it is a 2-night SummerSlam card, and they have to fill it with big matches, and those are big matches, even if they are rematches. And it's only like a month away, so those are very real possibilities. Just running back as rematches because of things that happen. So I'm intrigued with this match. I really am. I don't think Cena loses, but I'm curious how they go about it, and I'm curious where things go from there. Because if Punk loses, which I again assume he's going to lose, where does he go from there?
Right, because now think about it. He's lost a lot of big matches. We went from Punk hasn't lost to holy crap, Punk just keeps losing.
Yeah, and then there's also again the possibility that Seth is just there lurking in the background. I can't imagine Seth doesn't show up on the show. Yeah, there's a lot that could happen here. If this is the match where we just all John Cena matches have had just a bunch of overbooking the ends, which I'm okay with. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm curious where they go with it. Cena's my pick though. He's clearly winning. Again, I'm just curious where things are going to go. I hope we get to see more of the Cena that did that pipe bomb moving forward.
Same.
I hope the natural just Cena happens. And I was disappointed we didn't get Punk on Raw, but my goodness, if he does not return with some ether on SmackDown, I'm going to have some real discussions with myself about where he is on my list. That's how much I have riding on this program, honestly.
This is the promo that Punk came back for, right?
Yes.
Like this promo that he's got to cut on Friday. This is the promo that Punk came back for. Like that's really in my mind.
Spit hot fire, man.
Yeah.
I think
if this isn't it,
I don't think that fire still burns.
Yeah. Nice callback.
Yeah. I want a Punk. Yeah, it has to happen on SmackDown, and it has to burn. Like, it has to.
I wasn't a huge. I think he did good in that first verbal exchange with Cena.
For sure. It
was good. It wasn't great to me. This has got to be great.
And this is why I loved him in AEW. There was those moments where you got that just rage, where I feel like that's where Punk is at his best, is when he's pissed off, because that's where the emotions comes out, and that's when he just don't give a damn. Even though he does give a damn, like the character, that's when it comes out that he don't give a damn.
And that's the thing, that is where he does his best work.
Yes.
And sometimes it's because he doesn't hold himself back. Look, you could talk about this whole moral stance, because AEW fans did a victory lap over him wrestling in Saudi. The thing is that he never said he wasn't going to wrestle in Saudi. He had a very rageful tweet about someone calling him out, and he flipped out and then deleted it. That's Punk. That's been Punk his entire career.
And also,
all right, my bad.
The shot he took, I guess, as there was another one, but again, I feel like the difference between I am shocked that he's doing it. I'm not gonna lie, I really am shocked that he's doing it. But we talked about this before with growth in people, and him on the outside looking in, he had an opinion about the whole thing. Now that he's on the inside, he's had an opportunity to talk to people and get their perspective and views on it and all that stuff. Maybe his mind changed. I don't know. Again, that's Phil that you're mad at. I tend to not get mad at the individuals, because again, I'm watching wrestling for the wrestling, not for the who was it?
I'm watching for the dude who said Phil Brooks.
This is the one that got me. The perfect example. Someone said, I hope Terry Bollea has a great life and lives forever. It's Hulk Hogan that can do whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you
That's the
have
other way
that
around,
so
dude.
backwards.
Yeah.
Terry Bollea is the bad guy. Hulk Hogan is the character. And Terry Bollea just so happens to
Portray that character.
to portray that character. And then when he's not even playing the character, he still wears the garb because that's how he makes his money. So unfortunately, it's hard to distinguish the two because of that. But Hulk Hogan, the guy that the character on TV is not the bad guy.
Right.
It's Terry Bollea that's the POS.
The character Hulk Hogan didn't come out and do all those things. The human being did all those things.
Yes. So with, again, CM Punk and Phil has these thoughts. Phil's doing these things. Phil is the hypocrite, whatever. Okay, whatever. I don't care. CM Punk is the guy I'm watching wrestling for, not Phil Brooks. Whatever. We rambled. I'm done. But okay, Dale's here. I got to do it. Hey guys, first time, long time. Why does AW think a roll up is a way to make someone look strong and then the loser look strong as well with case in point, Megan Bain? Because there was a person I used to get in arguments with on the regular who said that as long as someone loses during a long match or gets caught off guard, they don't look bad. And that's just their way of thinking. But that person would also complain when someone got a roll-up victory in WWE. So I can't answer your question because I don't think like a weirdo. Sorry, Dale.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to echo that same sentiment. I think that
never.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that there's a point where people are going to say, well, she didn't eat a finisher and get pinned, so she still looks strong. And it's like, if you got out wrestled, that's the whole thing. Like the operative thing is to wrestle, right?
If you got part of wrestling, it's a wrestling move,
right? So how do you look strong? You lost. And even if it was like by a fluke roll up, you're a wrestler. You should know that fluke roll ups exist.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe that. I don't like that idea. I think that there is a great.
What's up, Nick?
Hey, Nick. There's a way to do things. I think that there's a way to get people over. And even if Stone Cold Steve Austin got over the most by passing out to he couldn't escape a hold. And everybody was like, this is the most badass thing we've ever seen. Now, look, that's been overdone. This happens all the time.
Yeah, nobody taps out anymore. And that pisses me off. Oh,
that's why I was so happy when Gunther tapped out at WrestleMania. People were like, he tapped out so fast. I'm like, no, he knew he got caught.
That's what things happen.
He's a pro.
Wrestling.
Yeah. In MMA, that's what happens. It's like, oh, I'm caught. It's over. That's real life.
I wish bookers would step in more and be like, hey, keep your ego at the damn door and tap out because that's the dude's finisher and you're losing the match. Stop making yourself look strong and not helping the guy out. It takes two to tango here. It really does. If there was a trope in wrestling that I think I am just so over, it's not tapping out. Oh my God. Because it's just, again, you just said it's overdone. But the match you're referring to, I'm assuming it's Toni Storm versus Megan Bain, and they just hot-shotted that one because Megan Bain was hot and they didn't know what else to do with Toni Storm at the moment, and that's kind of when my interest for AEW was dwindling. I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about, and the rematch will happen at Revolution next year. That's my guess. And then Megan Bain will win it and then go after Sasha or Mercedes, my bad, because Mercedes will have that title by then. She's winning it all in, whether people want to admit that or not. And yeah, the women's division is it's not even the women's division. It's Mercedes. It's the reason I can't stand that. I'm rambling. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. But the whole point of a submission is that it hurts so much you have no choice but to tap. Yes. And again, if you pass out, if someone passes out and there's a reason for it, okay. The reason for Austin not tapping out was for the double turn. It was effective. It worked. Right. It got Austin over. Yes. Right. What's the reason for Swerve not tapping out to Daniel Bryan? I don't even remember.
No, he beat Bryan.
Okay, Swerve didn't tap to somebody.
Who did he lose the title to? Mox?
He lost to Mox.
So maybe
I'm thinking of something else. I don't know. But my point is, I don't remember. So that's why it's dumb. Because it served no purpose other than to feed your own ego.
And look, if you want me to be objective, how about this one? You want to know the one that I hated the most? The one that I hated the most. Exactly. The one that I hated the most
So
Cody
Frank,
Rhodes passing out to the Kimura lock. What sense did that make? He passed out from a shoulder.
I mean, you pass out from pain. You pass out from pain.
Come on, no,
it's like, stupid. I agree.
It's that to me, that was dumb. Like Cody could have tapped, and I don't think Cody gets hurt for tapping. He tapped out to Brock freaking Lesnar. It's okay. Like it's like Hogan had at one point had said like he didn't want to tap to.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I thought it was the other way around.
I thought so, and I think he didn't. I don't think maybe he did, because But again, that kind of proves my point is that it's so overdone that I don't even remember. I don't remember these things now because it's just like everyone kind of just does it, and then when someone does tap out, it's like, thank you, but I my mind has gone completely blank on it.
Yeah.
Sorry if I was wrong. I apologize. I don't remember, but again, that's part of the problem. But yeah, that's the show. We rambled. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hey,
good question, Dale. You got me. But that's the show, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. The Friday Nitro review will not be this Friday this week. Sorry, I have to work. So we're not doing it. We were going to start scheduling on other days that'll fit. It doesn't work Saturday because Night of Champions is on. So in the middle of the day, where the two championships. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're just going to do it on Monday, like a Monday Nitro. Still Friday Nitro review, though. You can check it out there. Ron, you were there last week. I really appreciate it. You can join us again, though. We'll be there Monday morning. I'll have the info posted for you eventually. I want to keep that train going because I do love it. It's getting really, really good.
You're getting to the fun stuff now. That's why.
I mean, it's all been fun so far. Like I've become a fan of people.
Real fun stuff.
Like
now.
I've never been a fan of Lex Luger, and I've enjoyed Lex Luger's work so far. So
I love that. Like seeing it through an adult lens is so much different.
Tell me about the swole Tony Khan situation. I thought it was kind of just obvious. There's no way the dude is gonna go work for a guy who publicly shamed his wife.
Unless he and look, I think that the apology has to be as big as the disrespect. That's what that's what it says, right?
It wasn't. So
right. So that's my thought process on that. Maybe it wasn't because you got to think that Shelton and Bobby and MVP are trying to get him in, right? You got to think
it happened. Push. He said, "I'm going to TNA, baby." So good for Cedric. So if there's anything you want to say, now's your chance. If not,
I want to go eat my dinner. So. Let's do it. Yeah. I'll see you guys next week.
Oh, and next week we are doing again the women's Mount Rushmore best superstar of all time, best in-ring worker of all time, best character of all time, and what was the fourth one? Best I can't remember.
Hold on.
In-ring superstar.
Where's my PAWcast notes?
Character.
Greatest superstar of all time, greatest in-ring wrestler, greatest character of all time, and all-around performer.
Okay, boom. There you go. That will be our show next week. I'm looking. What's this for? They bow down before they can never deliver the burden. So. Okay. Sure. Save it for next week, Ron. We'll be there. Hopefully you'll be there too. And hey, everybody, toodles. Oh man, I double clicked. There it goes.